All right. My name is Ikmot Raji, and I am the Performance Marketing Executive at Harvest. It's a pleasure to welcome you to this exciting webinar today. Can you hear me? Okay, thanks. All right. So before we dive in, let me quickly cover a few housekeeping items. This webinar is going to last for about 1 hour. And then we are going to have a Q&A session at the end. So feel free to drop your questions in the chat box at any time, right? So before we move on, for those who are unfamiliar with Harvest, allow me to introduce who we are. So Harvest is a fintech company that is focused on empowering women through target savings, impact investment, and credit financing, right? So our mission is simple, but a great one anyway. So our mission is to close the financial gender gap by giving women the tools and resources they need to build wealth, manage their finances effectively, and thrive economically. So on our platform, on our mobile app, right, we have some saving products like personal savings, locked savings, and click savings. So personal savings is for people who want to save towards a target, right? And locked savings is for people who want to put a money, maybe just to keep themselves disciplined. They have a sum of money and they do not want to spend it, right? So you can keep your money, you can lock your savings till the maturity date, right? And then you earn an interest upfront, right? So on Click Savings as well, you can set up a public click, right? Or you can set up a private click and share the unique code with your friends and loved ones, and then you can join any public click as well, right? So on all these saving products, right, you're able to earn up to 15% per annum as interest, right? So we also have impact-driven investment opportunities when you invest. That is, when you invest, you're also supporting women farmers and women-owned businesses, SMEs, right? So there is also a platform where you can access credits. On our platform, you can access credits, otherwise known as loans, to support your business and personal needs. So these are products. Harvest is committed to creating a financial ecosystem where all women can succeed, right? So because we believe that women need financial empowerment, and when you empower a woman, entire families, communities, and even the economy benefits, right? So now back to why we are here today. This webinar today, we are going to discuss how to grow your food in your garden and share valuable insights that you can use, right? So our speaker today is Mr. Aremu Dele Olufemi. He's an agronomist at the Cocoa Research Institute of Nigeria. So I encourage you to engage, ask questions, and then make the most of this session, right? So let's dive right in. So on behalf of Harvest, thank you once again for joining us. Now, over to you, Marcos.
All right. Thank you very much, Ikmat. And please, can we confirm if you can hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right. Thank you very much. So we've had the introduction about harvest. So let's talk about food. Some people will say man shall not live by bread alone, but they'll say bread is also important. That means food is one of the critical material that is needed for survival. As a matter of fact, I don't think there is anybody on this call that's not eating for like 3 days. Well, probably it's only if you have your personal reasons, but we eat every day. We buy food, yeah, every day or occasionally, as the case is, to stock food. But food is very essential. And over the last few years, um, smallholder farmers are producing, they keep producing, but our country is still a country that is classified among those that are food insecure. Now, when we talk about food insecurity, it has to do with access, it has to do with availability and all that about food. Cost of food is rising compared to other country where you can spend maybe less than 6%, 5% of average income on food. If we check, I checked some statistics recently. Some people spend up to 60% of their earning on food. Let's say somebody is earning 100,000. That means the person actually spend as high as 60,000 on food, and next to that most people spend on transportation and logistics. So bulk of people's money or some people's money go into purchase of food item, especially now that subsidy removal and all that. Cost of transporting this food from the field to the end user has also made the price of it to also jack up. So food is expensive. Also, if the food is also available, there are other issues around food safety. Is the food safe for consumption and all that? Is it free of chemicals? Is it not toxic? We've had different cases of food poisoning and all that. So it's critical for us to get to a point that we need to talk to ourselves that see, you can grow your food. You don't have to have the capacity to grow everything that you eat, but at least you can part of the composition of your food. You are sure of the source, you know that you produce it, all right, by yourself. So that's why it's important for us to have this conversation. Also, we know that food production is a huge business. Aside the fact that it's a huge business, there are other benefits attached to it. But I'm going to allow the speaker to talk more about it. So our speaker was introduced earlier. Our speaker is a researcher and an agronomist at the Cocoa Research Institute of Nigeria. So don't think he knows about cocoa production. He's actually someone that is fit for this conversation because he has been a smallholder crop farmer for I think about 10 years now. Yeah, that I know of in different crop and in different value chain, cassava, maize, and all that. So when you hear that is a researcher from Crane, don't think they're talking about cocoa. Anyway, they're not saying she pack cocoa at your backyard. So it's going to have the fun, going to have the conversation. He's a professional in the field, he's both a researcher and he's also a field person. So he has the combination of both practice on the field and also the research aspects. So he's not somebody that is just doing the research, he's somebody that is also into the business, he's somebody that is into it, that's practicing. So please let's clap wherever you are. Let's make welcome Mr. Femi Aremu. I said he's looking like prof now, so maybe very soon he's going to be a prof. So but for today, yeah, round of applause. Let's welcome Mr. Femi Aremu. Yeah, as we have the conversation. Yeah, so back to you, Mr. Femi. So you're welcome.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Marcos.
And I hope you
First
have
of
eaten
all, I
today.
want sure, definitely, at least twice.
So yeah, so so let's get into the conversation of food.
All right, no problem. Thank you. Yeah, first of all, I want to appreciate Harvest. I hope you can all hear me clearly.
Yeah.
I hope you can hear me clearly.
Yes, please.
Okay. So well, I want to appreciate Harvest for this to bring up this important topic to us, and also for the host, chief host, I call him chief host, for recommending me for this particular topic. Yeah, thank you so much. I also followed up on the last webinar you had. It was wonderful. It was wonderful, and I am hoping that today's one will be that educative for us. So, as Mr. Marcos has said, we are not talking about cocoa today. We are not talking about cashew. We are not talking about any of the three crops. And what we'll be talking today is how we can grow our food from our backyard. Coming, I want to share my screen. Please hold on, please. I just want to share my screen. I hope you can all see the slide.
Yes, we can.
Thank you. So today we'll be talking about grow your food from yard to table, and we'll just quickly uh, look at some of these few highlights. Don't worry, it's going to be as practical as possible, and yeah, we go straight to the point, to the agenda for today. So we've all been hearing about backyard farming, backyard farming. I want us to know today that it's also a type of agriculture. So anyone practicing backyard farming is also qualified to be called a farmer. Yes, I want you to know that. And why are we bringing this topic at this present time? Recently, I think around last week, somebody was saying something and he said, I can't remember where I actually got that piece of information. He said that despite the economic situation that we have presently, one of the things that we should not compromise is the nutritional value of the food that we eat. That is good, we maintain the nutrition, the nutritional standard of the food that we eat than spending money on drugs. That instead of spending money on drugs, we should actually spend more on food. And we should let our food be our drug. And with the way things are present in the economic situation, people are looking for alternatives to food, alternatives to a particular type. One of these is here, yam flour is the one, we can make use of yam flour to do this, and later on the year, we can also make use of wheat. And later on, we can also make use of something else. So at this point, the more we look for alternatives sometimes, the question that raises at times is that are we not compromising the nutritional standard of what we are meant to eat? So it makes it important that we actually need to see how we can hold the bull by the horn and see how we make sure that we don't compromise the standard of the food that we eat. And one of the ways that we can actually use to achieve that is seeing what we can do as an individual to grow some of our food ourselves. So, what is backyard farming? Backyard farming is also known as backyard agriculture. As I said earlier on, it's a type of agriculture on its own. And it also can also be called urban agriculture. And the reason is because it's majorly practiced in the urban areas within one compound. It's a fast growing fruit, vegetables, herbs, and sometimes livestock on a small scale in residential areas, typically in backyards or small plots of land. But for this particular topic today, we will limit our discussion to crops. Maybe I don't know if Harvest will have someone later on to give us a comprehensive discussion on the livestock aspect, which is also important too. So, uh, yeah, what are the characteristics of backyard farming? What does it entail? And number one thing I want us to know that it is always done on a small scale. It's always done on a small scale. And the reason that you are trying to see how you can maximize your backyard or a piece of land within your compound to, to grow your food. And most of the time, as you said from what we discussed earlier on, is usually practiced in the urban areas where most of the lands are used for any other thing aside agriculture. And one of the things that is one of the characteristics of this backyard farming is that it comprises of fruits, varieties of crops, vegetables, herbs, and livestock. So it's not limited to vegetables. Most of the time when we talk about backyard farming, what comes to people's mind is vegetables. No, it's not just all about vegetables. It comprises of all the crops. And also, if you look at point number 4, self-sufficiency, primarily for family consumption. So one of the basic primary reasons why we set up backyard farming is not most of the time for financial purposes, is just to meet the consumption needs of the family. And it is commonly practiced organically. In fact, yes, this is one of the advantages of backyard farming. You have the ability to control what you eat because you are the one growing it. You know the source, you know the origin. You can particularly tell that you are eating what is healthy because it's being grown by you. So most of the time, our backyard farming is commonly practiced organically, and organic backyard farming is majorly encouraged. It's not as if it cannot be practiced inorganically, but I feel practicing it organically will help us to maintain one of the goals of having it within our backyard, and which is to see that we do rightly and we do correctly. So, benefits of backyard farming: it provides access to fresh and organic produce. Yes, as I said earlier, it gives you access to fresh and organic produce. I could remember in my compound here, I intercropped some when I was to move in. Fortunately for me, the our landlord was still working on the flooring. I had to tell him that, please, I'm an agric person, that I wouldn't want him to, cement the whole compound. That I want him to give me some space. So he actually, without hesitating, he left some portion of the compound on cemented. So I planted maize, and I intercropped it with okra. And I realized something. I'm still on point number 1 here. At some point, we were having so much okra in the house, and we decided to do the dry one. We call it in Yoruba, we call it onula. So we were converting the excess okra into onula. And I realized something about the nature of the onula that I took. At preparation, it looks green, just like the normal fresh okra. Unlike the ones we buy in the market that looks almost black. I don't know if you are conversant with this Orola, this dry okra. Most of the ones the ones you see in the market are sometimes maybe black or almost getting black in coloration. And by the time you prepare it, you hardly get that green color. Well, for the first time, I saw a greenish Orola, and I felt the freshness in my mouth, and I knew that yes, I was taking something good. And from that point, I realized that maybe at some point the ones we buy from the market, the reason why they are black is because they didn't allow them to go through normal proper drying process, and at some point they got infected. So I was like, wow. So we can actually get a green Orola and still almost look like that of the fresh okra. So it provides access. As growing your food gives you access to fresh and organic healthy plants, healthy crops. And number 2 is that it's cost effective. It reduces household food expenses. And I want you to know one thing. We know how much all these our pepper, our vegetables, our for green we call amaranth, all you know how much they cost now. I'm so sure the 200 naira pack of F4 or okra is not enough to sustain a family these days. I could remember recently, maybe I think I don't know, we had to get okra, and my wife had to buy maybe five uh five okras for around maybe 200 or so. So all these things are getting costly, and it costs us nothing to actually grow them by ourselves. So we are doing a lot of good by seeing to it that most of these uh, fast consumed vegetables and crops that we take in our houses, that we have them grown within our compound. It is also of environmental benefits. It reduces carbon footprint. Yes, we all know we are talking about carbon sequestration or the like at the present time. We know that one of the things causing global warming now is this carbon of the thing. And one of the things plants does in your environment is that they help absorb some of this carbon. And that's why when you stay under a tree, you feel refreshed, or you have a tree close to your house, you feel that freshness. They help in absorbing the atmospheric carbon, so which makes the air cleaner for you. So having plants around you is actually good, and backyard farming is not an exemption to to that. It reduces reliance on commercial food sources, which we discussed earlier. It increases food security. I'm happy our host said something, Mr. Marcos said something earlier. Whenever we talk about food security, people always think it's just all about the availability of the food. No, food security is not just all about the availability of the food. It also cuts across how cheap, how affordable it is. It also cuts across uh, of the nutritional content of it is still of the same normal standard. If the nutrition, if the nutrition, if you are eating food of which the nutritional standard is not compromised, then you can say you are food secure. So it's not just all about availability. It talks about the nutrients or composition of what you are taking in and how affordable it is. And the nutritional value, yes, we talked about that higher nutritional value crops, then it encourages balanced diet. Yes, when we have your you growing your vegetables, you have one or two mango trees and one orange tree in your backyard. By the time you eat, you pick some of those fruits, you pick your vegetables. It gives you the opportunity to do what to see to it that you eat a very balanced diet. So some of the common backyard crops that can be grown in your backyard. Let's look at the vegetable section. Is the amaranth, which we call is of different species, but the one that is very very common to us here is the efo green. We call it efo green, and some call efo shoko. Uh, those are the amaranth. Two out of the amaranth species that we have. You can conveniently grow them in your backyard instead of actually buying them. We are tending towards dry season now. You know how much some of these vegetable cost during dry season. Now that they are even selling vegetables in 200, we hardly get any vegetables to buy less than 200 these days. How much more we are going to have once we move into November and December and January, the heat of the dry season. So it's one of the things that you can plan ahead for as we are entering the dry season. See how we can we'll talk about that, how we can get good seeds and to sow in our backyards and how to go about planting them. You can grow your juice mallow, which we call ewedu okra, your pumpkin, the ugu, the Indian spinach, which is amonosutu, your okra, your cucumber, tomato, pepper, garden egg, bitter leaves, and simply if you can plant, you can have them in your backyard. You don't necessarily have to buy some of these vegetables. Then you have the opportunity to grow them in your backyard. You can also plant your fruit. So pawpaw, you can have bananas, you can have plantain, you can have pineapple, watermelon, coconut, and citrus. Any of the citrus family grown at your backyard. And the arable, you can grow yam. Yes, you can grow yam. You can grow your cassava. You can grow maize. You can grow sweet potatoes in your backyard. This is just to mention a few. So you can actually do this. And yes, I'll explain this as easy as possible. We have cases where people say they plant a particular seed, they didn't give them the expected yield as the marketer told them, or the person who sold the seed to them. Now, I want us to know one thing. One of the basic things that will help us as we, plow through this journey of, establishing our own backyard farm. We have a saying in we that were in the crop section, that your yield, that is your harvest from your backyard or from your farm, is a function of the genetic makeup of the seed you sown and the environment at which they are grown. Now let me explain. Uh, most of the times you say, hybrid seed, you have hybrid seed, they said this seed, if you give it so yield per hectare, so yield per day. And the thing is that what can actually guarantee those yields is that if you also put into consideration the environment, that is where you intend to plant your crop. So it's not just all about getting the good seed alone. What gives you, what guarantees your how good your yield is going to be is also your environment. And in this case, the environment we are talking about is your backyard, and also maybe the climatic condition of the area where you are, you know, the soil microorganisms, the plants and the like. So in short, what we are just trying to say is that have it at the back of your mind, know this, know peace, that your yield is a function of the environment, and also the genetic makeup of your plant. And that is why we encourage that if you want to grow your crop, you get them from reliable source. I discourage buying seeds from open market, and this is one of the reasons why you have a lot of materials in the open market. Sometimes you might you might actually purchase a seed from an hybrid crop. Let's assume that there are some maize now. There are some hybrid maize that if you plant them, they will advise you to also get the hybrid seed from the seed seller. You cannot grow, the seed from that particular harvest. Do you understand? So that's why it's risky for you to just go to the open market and say you want to get your seed or you want to buy this. You have to make sure that you get your seed from uh, a reputable source. So these are the things that guarantees your yield. And let us look at it. It's actually worth it. And the reason why it's worth it is because you won't want to go through all those stress of, feeling, getting your backyard ready. And when you are meant to get your yield, you are now getting something that is not encouraging. So know this right from the start that as you are also trying your best to see that you get a good seed, you have to also put into consideration the environment, the soil, the moisture, the water, everything. You have to put everything into consideration. So these are some of the common tools and materials that you need as you embark on the journey of establishing your own backyard farm. You need your hand gloves, you need your hat, you need your farm coat, you need your farm boots, and you need your first aid kit. Can you see the first five listed here are things that deals with your personal safety? So we encourage that you put into consideration your safety because in farms you have sometimes you have ants, you can have some of these insects crawling in, and even sometimes while using your cutlass, your hoe, or some of these tools, you can get yourself injured. It's good you see that at least if not within your house, you see that you have a first aid kit and see that you work with these protective materials while engaging in your backyard farm activity. You have the hand well. You need your spade. Sometimes you can use it in place of a shovel. You need your cutlass. You need your hoe. You need your rake. You need a potting medium. In this case, maybe in a case whereby it is a cement floor that you don't have, a direct contact with the soil, you might need a potting medium, which is also what is your top soil. So in this case, your potting medium is what a top soil. You need organic fertilizers, as you said earlier, that we are trying to see to be the goal. One of the things that you can achieve for yourself or as you engage in this backyard farming is to see that you practice it organically. Then your propagating media, which is the seed you want to plant, organic pesticide, it has been observed that neem oil is very effective in control of pests during your practice. It's very affordable, and you can easily get it from any agro store. It's easily affordable, it's easily accessible, and you need your stakes in case of where you need to stake your tomato, you need to stake your maybe yam, you need to stake your so you need stakes, you need twine, you need your watering can, bucket, trays, and you also need a record book. It's good you take records of every activities of the farm, where you sowed the seed, when you planted, when it flowered. As I said, that backyard farming also in its own way is a form of agriculture. So, as a backyard farmer, you also need to actually put some things into record that will help you become a master, a professional in what you are doing. That will help you understand, how things are being run, how things are done on your farm. So you keep records of your harvest, you keep record of everything in your farm, based of planting and things that you need to put into consideration, all that. So let us go to straight to how you can set up your backyard farm. Now, if you look at this slide, if you look at the picture, you can see that we have some topsoils in cement bags. You can actually do something like this. You can have something like this in a situation whereby you have a concrete floor all through in your compound. You can actually do this. You can actually do this. And please, I need to confirm. I hope you can see hear me.
Yes, please. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Good. Good.
Yes, we are
So,
hearing you.
okay. Thank you. Thank you for the feedback. So, if you look at what we have here, we have a cement bag being filled with topsoil, and with what we have here, you can have this type of arrangement in your compound for your vegetables, maybe like tomato. You can plant your pepper in it. If you do very, very well, if you look at it, the bags here they're kind of filled into like maybe half of the sack. Yes, half of the sack. So you can conveniently plant your vegetables here. You can grow them in a condition like this. You can have an arrangement like this depending on the space that you have. And I want us to note one thing concerning the topsoil. Yes, I know you've been asking me that how can you get a very good topsoil. So one of the things that you need to put into consideration when getting your topsoil is that peradventure, maybe you are still close, you are living in a developing area where you still have, a lot of vegetations around. You can actually go to locate a virgin area, an area where it's not being cultivated, and you can get your topsoil from there. And one of the things that will guide you in knowing, at least for a lame person that is not agric inclined or just getting to get familiar with agriculture, there's something we call indicator plants. Whenever you go to these areas and you want to get your topsoil, you look for indicator plants. These indicator plants guide you to at least have a first-hand information that there is a very high tendency that the particular soil you want to at least gather is fertile. And areas where you see Tittonia, we call it sunflower. Areas where you see majorly most of these broadleaf weeds around. Anywhere you see broadleaf weeds around, is sign. It's probably a sign that the place is fertile. This Akintola, we call it Comolina odorata, Akintola. Anyway, you see those type of plants growing, those plants are indicator plants. It tells you that at least the soil is a little bit fertile. Why I'm using the uncertainty word is because actually for you to know if the soil is fertile or not, or this, you have to be a soil person. But we are actually dealing with what we can actually work with as far as experience is concerned here. You understand? So wherever you have such broadleaf growing or any broadleaf growing or more broadleaf, then you can actually get your topsoil from that area. Avoid grass area. Avoid areas overgrown with grasses or places where grasses are dominant. Yes, it could also be, I said it could also be that the soil is not as fertile as you expect it to be. You know, grasses are very rugged. Where broadleaf plants will not grow, you always find your grasses growing there. So, and also make sure that by the time you are trying to scoop your topsoil, one of the disadvantages of getting topsoil, I said, as the host said, I work at a research institute. We have been trying to see how, and generally researches are on looking at how we can reduce our dependence on topsoil, how we can get alternative sources. And I did a work recently on sawdust, and it gave a very good result. And some work too has also been done. But for now, let's still stick with our topsoil. And please let us also take some level of caution as we, take our topsoil. We should try as much as possible not to go beyond some depth. I personally, I encourage not going below 15 centimeter depth, between 0 even to 10 centimeter depth, because by the time you take your topsoil, what becomes of the particular land where you take the topsoil? Peradventure, um, some farming activities might actually want to take place in that particular area, and now that you're taking in the topsoil, you definitely create some level of problem. So we have to be careful about the depth at which we take, so as we not render the place where we took the topsoil useful. Okay, I hope you can still hear me.
Yes, we are hearing you.
Thank you. So you can thank you. So here is another in this case we have yam being grown here. Yes, you can find something to lean onto as it grows. If you find something to lean onto as it grows. So look at this backyard now. This person will definitely harvest a very good quantity of yam from what we have here. So, and I also want us to note one thing: the bigger the mass of the plant you want to plant, the more the soil required. And if you look at what we have here, this is yam being planted here. We have more soil being packed up in this particular um, cement bag than we have in the previous slide here. This one is still good for your vegetables, your tomatoes. So here is another one. Look at the cement bags. Look at how we have the tomatoes being planted. Then I look at the second one too. We have our yam growing in that particular bag, and look at the twine. Can you see the essence of having the twine there? So the twine will give the yam at least level of something to lean on to as it goes. And if you also look at the tomato here, the tomatoes are doing fine in the bag. So in this case, we have this is a seed bed method. The other one we just discussed is the seed method type or the sack type. You can also have something like this in your backyard. Even if your floor is cemented type, you can have something like this. You can have this wooden frame and fill it up with topsoil, and you can conveniently grow your vegetables here. This is very good for vegetables, your leafy vegetables. It's also good for your some of your fruit vegetables such as the tomato, eggplant, garden egg. You can conveniently grow them in you know, conditions like this. So you can definitely do something like this to be against your fence or any area that you feel you can actually set something like this up within your garden. You can do this. And please, I want us to note one thing: whenever we want to set that, whenever we want to set our backyard farm, it must be very close to the source of water. Yes, because it means you have reasons to make use of water virtually every day. So one of the things you need to take into consideration is the nearness to the source of, of water. I think we should discuss about that later. So you can have something like this in your backyard where you can actually do your crops. Yeah. We also have the container method. You can raise some of your vegetables in some of these containers that some of these they are actually for growing crops. Some of these they are actually for growing crops. You can grow them there. And the bigger the size, the better as far as the type of crop you want to grow is concerned. Look at this. This is another type that we have here. And in the absence of that, the very common one that we also have people use is this I think this 20 liters paint rubber paint container. Yes, in fact, you can even grow your potato inside the container, the white one as you see inside it. You can grow them conveniently. Can grow them conveniently there. And if you look at the fourth slide here, you can grow your vegetables in there, and they will definitely do fine. And one of the things you need to note when you are making use of this container method is that they must be perforated. If you look at the first one here, you can see some perforation between. This is going to help, drain out excess water. It won't be good that you have excess water trapped within your polythene bags. It will result into rot. It will kill the seed. In fact, the seed might not even germinate. But once there's proper drainage, it will help your crops to grow well. If it is poorly drained, then you are also uh, writing a formal letter to disease infestation, such as the fungi which thrives so well in moist environment. So let's see to it that if you are using the container method, it must be well perforated in such a way at the base in such a way that it will give room for the excess water being trapped to drain out. So yes, this is actually technically the last slide here. I tagged this backyard farming 101. And the first point here is that what is the type of backyard farming you want to do? You need to make a decision on that. And one of the things that will guide your decision is that, okay, do I have a cemented floor, or do I have a floor that is, even though it's not cemented, it looks as if it's stony? You understand? In that case, definitely you have to make use of the container or any other type that you help you grow your crop from. And if you are fortunate to still have a very good soil within your compound, yes, you can make beds, you can make raised beds, and you can also plant some of your crops directly. You can do them directly. So those are some of the things that will guide your decision. The type of backyard farming method you want to use. It depends on your environment, what you have on ground. It depends on what you use. So, however, in my own case, sometimes I so much prefer this container method or the stack method for your tomatoes, your eggplant, your pepper, and the likes. However, you can still conveniently grow them on your on the normal soil. Once you make some beds, you make beds for them. Yeah, you're fine. Then your site selection, as I said, source closeness to the source of water is very, very important. By the time you are doing your site selection, there it must not be a place that it is too shady. Your plants need the sun, to help them go through this photosynthesis process, which is their own way of, eating their own food. So it must not be too shady. It must not be too 100% shady environment, because the sun also to help play a very important role in the growth and development of this crop. So it must not be a shady environment. It must be a place where there's direct sunlight. Then your planting materials too, as I've said, it must be sourced from a very good, reputable agro store. Please avoid getting your materials from the local market. So the moment you start doing that, then you are, you are don't let me say you started on a very wrong platform. So please try as much as possible to get very good planting material from a very good and reliable agro store. Then soil management, as I said, I encourage that for your backyard farming, make it organic as possible. You can make use of compost, you can make use of manure, but the dangers about using manure is that you have to make sure that it is a cold manure. What I mean by cold manure is that it is a dried one. Please avoid using fresh manure on your crops in your backyard. And one of the dangers of using the fresh one is that it keeps up the soil and eventually it will burn your crop. The process of decomposition of this organic manure generates heat, and sometimes the heat is as a detrimental, it's very, very detrimental to the plant. And also it could also be a source for diseases and infestation of pests and pathogens into your farm. So try as much as possible to make sure that the manure you are using are very, very dry. And one of the things that we guarantee that you can also use to test your organic fertilizer is that it's not most of these organic fertilizers, if they are well properly done, they don't smell. Yes, they don't smell. If it is properly dried and properly cold, it doesn't smell. So please try as much as possible to make use of organic uh, organic fertilizer. Then water management, too, as I've said, it must be very close to the source of water, and try as much as possible to avoid wastage. Give your crop just the adequate amount of water that is needed, because excess water too can also, you know, uh, bring about, you know, diseases and pests, especially fungi. Yes, so you have to be very, very careful the way you water your crops. Don't overwater them. Let them be well watered. Then pest and disease management, please, once you embark on um, backyard farming, also have the plan to, combat pests. Pests will always come. All these insects will always come. So it will be good for us to be prepared. And as I've said in one of the slides, that one of the things you can use that is very, very safe for consumption, you can use them on your leaf, the leafy vegetables such as the amaranth, you can use them to control pests with your neem oil. You understand? So you can use them and use them. Then the weed management too, you have to weed as, you know regular as possible, because the weeds too will also compete with your crop, and they also share the limited nutrients that your crop also needs to grow. So see to it that it is properly behaved. And you must also prune in cases where you have trees, where you have your mango tree at your backyard, you have your cashew tree, see to it that you prune them regularly. One of the things pruning does for you is that it makes your tree disease free, and also helps you to improve the fruiting by the time it's fruit the next season. So please prune your trees almost immediately after the harvest, after the season. For example, let's say maybe you have a mango tree in your backyard, you can conveniently prune the weak branches. You can conveniently prune them immediately after the harvest season. So the timeliness of the pruning tree is very, very important. Then if you look at some of your these ugu pumpkin, if you don't harvest them regularly too, they won't give you good leaves. They won't grow well. So it requires a kind of regular harvesting of those leaves of the vine, so that it will generate more areas for, more vines to come out. You understand? So the harvesting too is very, very important. Know when to harvest. By the time you start now, you start getting used to the backyard farming. You have an idea of when to properly harvest your crop, and it differs from crop to crop. It differs from crop to crop. And as I said, lastly, record keeping is very, very important. You need to keep this record as you embark on your backyard farming journey. Yeah. This note, I really want to say thank you for listening. This particular discussion this afternoon is for those who have not actually started doing something like that, or who thinks farming is meant for some people. I think this our discussion today has been able to let us realize that we can actually start. You can start something. You can start, doing something. The awareness is there, and for those who have actually started and need one or two things, I'm so sure that maybe there are some things that we've been doing wrongly, and as by the virtue of our discussion this evening, we've been able to realize that, okay, yes, I can do this well, I can do this better. So be willing to entertain your questions, and I'll be willing to provide answers to them. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Let's clap now. Yeah, virtual clap. Yeah, thank you very much. That's no, that's massive. There are some things that some of us might have been doing wrong before, that we've been able to learn some new things, or a better way or improved way of doing it. And for those that also want to start, yeah, it's actually that easy. Some people might be thinking, is it actually that easy? Yeah, it's actually that easy. Yeah, just give it a try. So thank you very much. So I think some people have questions. Yes, some answer raised. So yeah, I'll call on I'm seeing somebody's name starting with something else. I don't really pardon me, but that's what is displaying from my hand. So please, you can unmute and ask your question. I think it's also the same question in the chat box. So let her just ask question. Sorry, your name is staying as something else on my head.
Okay.
So please go
Good
ahead.
afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, good afternoon, Mr. Remo and Mr. Marcos. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for the lecture. It was really insightful. So I want to ask, I think I've written it in the chat box, but since I'm given an opportunity to talk, the neem oil, do you dilute it with water or use it directly on the plants? How do you use the neem oil as a pesticide? Thank you. Did you get that? Hello? Hello?
Yeah, Mr. Femi, if you are talking, please, you are muted. Can't hear you. Mr. Femi, can you hear me? Please, it seems you are muted from your end. I can't hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Marcos. I think
All right.
Mr. Femi has issues with his network.
With his network, yeah, probably his audio. So
If you can
so
hear us,
once he's
maybe you
back,
should try and rejoin.
yeah, or just check your maybe your earpod. Just
Yeah, I can see him
check the
speak, but
Bluetooth and try
the
again.
audio
Yeah.
is not. Well.
So let's just exercise patience. So please, if you have more questions, please just type in the chat box, spending the time that is able to resolve from his end. So please, if you have any other question, please feel free to ask. But Mr. Femi, if you are speaking, we can't hear you. So what you can do is probably switch off your Bluetooth device or whatever and connect again. Probably that works, or try to work on the audio. Thank you. So please, if you have any other question, please feel free to ask. Do we have any other question? Yeah, so let me just try to do a recap pending the time is going to jump back, but I think it's having some issues with its network. You mentioned something about the type of seed that you plant. For those of us that have done that before, probably your neighbor harvested maize last year and just said, okay, give me some seed, let me plant. Somebody close to me and a funny experience prepared the land, collected seed. Actually, the variety that the farmer, that is also the neighbor, gave to the person is and those variety that mature late, and also they are the ones that grow very tall. So by the time the maize were supposed to mature, it was just growing tall, and later it was the whole thing was just falling down before um, bringing out the maize. So actually, the right type of seed is actually very critical. Like for those of us in crop, we say it starts with the right seed. Yeah, so it actually starts with the right seed. Ensure you have the right type of seed, and also let me also mention that ensure that those sacks are perforated. Please, can we hear me, please? So if you are making use of sacks, sack bags, ensure that those sacks are perforated. Please, can we hear? Can somebody confirm if you can hear me loud and clear?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, okay, good. So ensure that those sacks are perforated, else or whatever container you are using, either it's the plastic container, as that is the sack bags or whatever, ensure that they have good they are well perforated. Otherwise, the soil is going to be waterlogged, and when it's waterlogged, soil aeration is not going to happen. So there has to be a discharge of the water so that it's not going to clog. Yeah, so ensure that you perforate those bags that you are using. And also for the manual, let me also talk more about that. Like you mentioned, let the manure cure. There's something we call curing of the manure. Probably you just go to a poultry, you just pack the manure and you go. No, you don't do that. You actually leave for some time for it to decompose properly. For those of us that have used manure before, you notice that when you gather, you heap the poultry dung or the cow dung or the poultry feces, and you heap it in a place. By the time you try to put your maybe shovel or whatever, you notice that it's generating heat. Yeah, that means that the ammonia buildup is still very high. So you allow it to cure. That means it must get to a point whereby you will touch the manure and the manure is no longer hot. Yes, but ensure that you're using gloves to do that. So ensure that it's no longer hot and also and the smell is no longer there. Yes, people are wondering, is it possible? Yes, if you leave the um manure to cure for a while, yes, the smell, the ammonia is going to leave and it's become suitable for cultivation at that point. And also, Pennington is going to join to answer the question about the neem. You can also use those of us that have access to rabbitry. Yes, you can use your rabbit urine. It works effectively as both insecticide and fertilizer. Yeah, so what you do is that you mix it in knapsack. You actually don't pour it directly, please. Yes, you actually mix them. You spray. So please, if you have any more questions, please let's feel free to ask. Then some might be wondering, is it that easy? Yeah, actually, it's that easy to start. I think there is a question, where can you get seed? All right, they are what we call seed stores or accredited seed vendors, and I don't want to really mention some in particular, but when you go to accredited, yeah, Mr. Fem, can you try to speak? Let's see if we can hear you. No,
Think
your
it's
audio
my
is still. Yeah, fantastic. You are back. You are back. So, let me just answer the somebody is talking about how where you get the right seed, and I'm trying to explain that there are some accredited seed sellers or seed distributors. They're actually those that have either been trained by those organizations, and they are now to represent them to sell. There are different seed companies in Nigeria. You know, you have Seedco, you have Premier, you have all those kind of different brands. But the thing is, I will advise that if you have someone close to you that it's in similar that is a smallholder farmer, you can ask them where they get the seed from. Some of them might have used them before and also tested the viability of the seed or how reputable the seeds are. And also, please, you can feel free to reach out to either myself or Mr. Femi for free. Don't worry, you can be directed to anywhere, probably in your location. But the idea is just that you can ask people that are in that field and they can be able to tell you. If you are in Ibadan, there are places I can direct you to, but those in Lagos, there are places you can get it, but ensure that you are getting from the right source. And also it talks about there are some seeds that you can only plant once. If you plant it this time, you have to go and buy the seed again. Otherwise, if you plant what that particular one brings out, you're not going to get a good hit. So there are different issues around that. So ensure that you get you contact the right store in different locations. There are different seed vendors accredited. By the time you go to their shops or their offices, even when you walk in, you know what they are doing is fine. And please ensure that you check the expiry dates and all that. Ensure you check all those critical information. Ensure that, yeah, and even the seed, if it's branded, you have the variety, you have information about the seed. It will give you information about how plant can plant it, the spacing you're going to use, and all that. Yeah, so By the time you check all that, you can be able to get the details. And if you have someone close to you that can recommend you, why not? Thank you very much. So, Mr. Femi, please over to you. You can ask the question about the name or how they can be able to use it.
Okay. Yes. Concerning the neem oil, yes, you won't use it as concentrated as it is. Do you understand? So there's definitely a ratio. So I can't categorically tell you a ratio. It depends on the crop that you are working with. Do you understand? How you are going to apply it on your leafy vegetables will be different from the way you apply it when you are dealing with maybe yam or any other thing. Do you understand? But I think the first hand information that is very, very important for us is that in the search for a pesticide for your backyard farming, you can definitely make use of what a neem oil. And from what Mr. Marcos said, I'm free. Maybe by the time you want to start and you need, informations on that, I can do that for free on how you are going to do things like that. Yeah, and I think maybe that's one of the reasons why we have, discussions like this is for people who actually wants to go into it to be able to, after the webinar, be able to at least have a contact of someone they can call for one or two things. So I can actually do that for free. So it depends. But the one thing, what I can just categorically tell you now is that you can't use it raw. You can't use the neem oil raw. You definitely have to mix it with water before you can use it. Then on the seed aspect, as Mr. Marcos has explained, we stay in different regions and we might not be familiar with the agro store in some of these regions. And I feel, as you have said, the best way to start, in fact, in anything you want to do as far as this backyard farming is concerned, even with this webinar, is that it would be good you walk up to any person that you know that has started such in his backyard. Do you understand? Also see to it physically, get some knowledge, some experiences from it. Do you understand? So it's not something you can say, okay, you want to do out of it will be good. Yes, definitely you can do it, but you would work faster and it will help you. You save cost, you save time, you save stress. If you have someone around you, maybe that have started doing it, that you can also get one or two informations from close to you. However, as I said, I'm still available for any information that you need as far as that is concerned. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. I think I entertained one of the questions. So please, if you have a question, please still feel free to ask. Guys, in the absence of any question, you might need to proceed. Is there any other question? All right, thank you very much, Mr. Femi. Thank you for everyone that joined the call. We hope that you've been able to learn few things today. Yeah, obviously, I actually learned more. One fantastic thing about agriculture is that you don't know all, you keep getting additional information here and there to make you better. So, Mr. Femi, thank you for creating time out. And also, as mentioned, if you have any question, you can always send a mail to us, and yeah, we'll attend to you. We have different trainings for smallholder farmers. Yeah, and most is actually free. Yeah, so please feel free to reach out to us. We'll be able to support you to take the step to you grow big. All right, thank you very much, everyone, for joining us. For the next webinar we'll be having, reach out to us through mail, or we also see our link on our different channels. So please, you can follow Harvest on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, on LinkedIn. Please feel free to follow us and reach out to us and get information about us and more exciting products that Harvest offer. All right, thank you very much, everyone. And I believe the next time we're going to meet, people are start cultivating something. So let's have a nice weekend. All right, bye, everyone.